This is the Nerdy Romantics Podcast, and I'm your host, Y.M. Nelson. This episode is all about the Netflix series Bridgerton and season 2 of the show. There will be spoilers in this episode, so if you haven't seen season 2 and you don't want to be spoiled, please take a moment now, go back, watch the series, and then come back and join us for the discussion. Hello, Nerdy Romantics. Today we are talking Bridgerton, Season 2. Who would have thought we would have made it to Bridgerton Season 2? But we have some stuff to say about it. So we got a few topics we want to talk about as we thought about when we were watching Bridgerton. And we are at the end going to give it a Goodreads rating, even though we're talking about the show and not about the book. This season is from the second book in the Bridgerton series called The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. Before we get into the Bridgerton discussion, because this is a reader-focused podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're reading now that we recommend. We have Marcie, Staci, and Dana on the line, and I'm going to talk with Marcie first. What are you reading that you recommend?
Well, actually, I'm in between reads, and here's why. I just finished the Book of Luke, Earthquake by Iris Bowling, and I am patiently waiting for An International Affair, a Lassiter wedding series, to come out on May 26th because it continues the story of Luke and his bride, Sasha. So that's what I recommend, and that's what I'll be doing for Memorial Day weekend.
If you have not listened to episode 13 of the podcast, Marcie talks about Iris Bowling and talks about a couple of her series, and I'm assuming this is part of that series.
Yes, it is. Series. It is the final in the Gems and Gents, and it's the start of An International Affair is the start of the Lassiter wedding series.
All right. So if you have not listened to that episode, I highly suggest that you do that because there are a lot of good books there. Let's talk to Staci next. Staci, what are you reading that you recommend?
I actually just finished Beast, which was recommended during our Who Deserves HEA.
Yes, for differently abled main characters. Beast by Pepper Pace. Yeah.
And I just finished it. It was good. Some people kind of ruined the little thing for me by telling me some stuff that's gonna happen.
Sorry.
I finished it.
Oh my God.
So that slowed down the pace of me finishing up. I probably would have finished a little bit earlier one for that. But overall, I did enjoy it. And it wasn't a bad read. The next book I'm going to read, which I was trying to look for, but I misplaced somewhere in the house, is The Black Phone by Joe Hill. And it's horror, so nothing for the nerdy romantic side of it, but it's a horror book.
All right. Well, hey, it's still a book and we're a reader-focused podcast, so cool. All right. So, Dana, tell us what you're reading.
Sure. So I'm actually still reading one of the books I talked about reading, I think in the last podcast, not the last one where we watched something on TV. So I'm still listening, I guess, to Sherlock Holmes. In fairness, it's 67 hours long. And so it's just taking me some time. And I usually don't listen to it until like at night going to bed. I would recommend it if you're like a Pendergast, a Douglas Child, Preston kind of whatever fan. I think I've talked about that before. So this is, I guess, the basis of those characters. As I'm figuring out, they have characters with Pendergast and Aloysius. They have the same names as Sherlock Holmes, and I didn't realize it. So I'm now seeing how their characters were developed from Sherlock Holmes stuff. That's kind of where I am and what I'm reading right now. And I'm almost done. I think I've got maybe 5 short stories left and I will be finished with the whole thing.
Wow.
So that's currently what I'm doing.
That sounds like a lot going on, but it sounds like it's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's right up your alley. So
it is I was thinking about that when you were opening up the podcast. I tend to lean a little more to the thriller sci-fi side than the romantic part. So I have the romantic part too, and I have some of those that I'm looked at, but they're a little too spicy for this conversation.
Well,
so, yep.
We get pretty spicy here, but yeah, there are some things out there that I don't think I'm gonna touch, at least at this point. But yeah, so for the nerdy part of our audience that's listening, that would be right up their alley.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got great reads. We are going to put these reads in the show notes so that you can go out and get them. But right now we're going to talk Bridgerton. And just in case you didn't hear me earlier, this will contain spoilers for season 2, maybe even season 1, as we go back and we talk about maybe parts of season 1. But this will contain spoilers for the show. So if you have not watched the show and you don't want to be spoiled, go and watch the show, then come back and listen to what we have to say. Now that people have gotten over the fact that this is a romance novel series and not an actual historic documentary on PBS, and they're getting over those historical, I'm going to put it in quotes, historical inaccuracies that they may see with Shonda Rhimes doing a lot of race representation here. I'm just going to say Shonda Rhimes is a boss, and this is how she interprets things. This is what she does on all of her shows. And everything that she's pretty much influenced, it has racial diversity, no matter what it is. So deal with it. I'm so glad that we don't have to talk about any of that. At least unless y'all want to. We don't have to talk about that this time around. We can talk about story. We can talk about actual show. And one of the first things I just want to say, I don't know if anybody else has any comment on it, but one of the first things that I want to say that I did not get to say the last time around is that I absolutely love the music when they do the classical renditions of current pop songs. I love that. I love that I love that they do that. I especially loved when they remade Diamonds by Rihanna. They remade Dancing on My Own by Robin in one of the dancing scenes.
And let us not forget our girl Alanis Morissette and You Ought to Know, which was my absolute favorite.
Right? Oh my gosh. I totally love it. I totally love it. I don't know if anybody kind of remembers. I kind of wrote these down while I was watching. Guest host, do we love this? Do we have favorites? What do we think about this? I just wanted to gush for a minute, but what does everybody else think?
Well, I like the fact that Staci does that to indicate that it is not the same type of period, TV or, show. By having that, I think it kind of illustrates more that, she has a diverse cast. It is not what you normally would expect. And I really do like it when they do those things, when they bring in modern day music and they change it around to be in that time period. And so, and expect that it's not as the same. So I think we saw this before on, what was that thing, that other show? There's another period thing. I forgot. Now I can't remember the name of it. I can see the characters in it, but I cannot remember the name of it. And sometimes they would do that in that show as well. But I really liked it in this one.
If we remember it and we think about it and we're not recording, I will put that in the show notes. I can't think of it either. I love the fact that they do that. I love the fact that this is done to kind of mix it up. I think you're right with that. It helps you think, okay, this is more story, this is more fiction, this is not a, historical reenactment of the Regency period, or something like that.
I also think it gives it a little bit more energy and keeps it from being like your dry,
Yes.
kind of staid version of a period piece. So I do like, but I also like that they infuse it with the string instruments and things that are of the period as well, so that you get that kind of juxtaposition between the then and the now. So I love it. And my favorite two from this season were You Ought to Know and Wrecking Ball.
Yes. Oh, I loved Wrecking Ball. I loved Wrecking Ball.
And that was The Pursuit of Love on
okay.
that I was talking about earlier.
Okay, got it. Dana, what did you think? Or do you have any thoughts on this?
Honestly, I pretty much agree with what y'all said. Some of the songs I didn't know what they were. So I can't really speak to those. But yes, the Diamond song, as well as the Alanis Morissette probably stands out the most to me because I've actually heard it outside of Bridgerton as well.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I felt that way about the first series, the season 1 as well.
Exactly. I felt that was like the first thing that just got me about this series was the music and the fact that they did classical renditions of these popular songs. It excited it for me. It made it exciting to watch, not just, okay, these people are dancing in this staid way and, they're looking at each other and, some of that could be a little bit much. With the music being the way it is, it kind of, heightens everything, because you have a connection here where none of us, obviously, nobody around was in the region that's around now was in the Regency era. So it's like, we don't know how they party.
So let me
ask you. In there.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it was Marcie who mentioned it. But when I'm watching this show, I really don't, and I don't know if this is good or bad, y'all can push back at me. I don't even think about this being something that took place in another time. And maybe the music plays into that. I mean, honestly, I could have been watching a show about people and this is just maybe they live in another part of the world. Well, they do. But I don't even think so much about the time period stuff, except, when we have the whole, not being alone with a man and saying, that kind of little things like that. But that almost to me, I just think, oh, those are those people on that side of the world. They just do things differently. It's very modern to me. I don't feel even though I get it's there, I just feel like these are people who, this is what rich people do on the other side of the pond. I just don't know. I'm seeing their lives. I don't a lot of times think, oh, this, took place so long ago. I don't even think about that.
Well, but I think a lot of times we don't think of it like that. I mean, once when I was traveling overseas, I was in England, and she's like, "Well, what did you think? What do you think of?" Like they asked me like about America and all that, and she's, "Well, what do you think of England? What do you think?" And I say it without any problem. I think of, "Can I have some more, Miss?" I think
right?
And she looked at me like, "But that was so long ago." I was like, "I know, but those are the movies that I watched." Those are the movies I watched. So that's what I thought of England. I mean, I knew it wasn't like that. But when I thought of England at the time I used to watch, Charles Dickens, we used Oliver Twist, all that. So I know everybody's not dingy and has a Cockney accent, but that is what I always pictured England at the time. And I think we all kind of do that because that's, if you watch something from a different country and that's what you see, that's what you perceive it to be in your mind, even though, mentally that's not how it is, but that's what you perceive it to be because that's what you've been seeing about it. And that's kind of what it is in your mind. And just that.
I'm sorry. And I would say for me, I think it's a little bit different because I am a huge fan of Regency romances, especially by Stephanie Lawrence, which is where my familiarity with the period comes from. So in my mind, I had all these, like I had read stories about the balls and the the wedding game and the matching. So in my mind, it was kind of cool to see it visualized, but I did have an idea of what I thought I was going to see.
Okay.
I mean, I guess when I think royal, if you ask me, kind of like Staci said, if you ask me right now what I thought the royals were over there doing, I think they dress up and go to balls and all this.
You know, that's what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Now, you know, obviously I'm looking at this and I'm not thinking this is what the average Londoner is doing right now.
Right.
I'm not thinking that. But when you have the whole royalty and the balls and the stuff, it's like, I don't know what the queen does. I don't know what, you know, we don't have monarchy here. You know, I don't know what they do. They could be doing this, right? And yes, I'm going to say that the music plays a big part in it. And I think you're seeing it in HD. You're not seeing it in the whole production of the show, to me, just lends itself to now. This is like something now. This is, even though I know it's not in the back of my mind, but as I'm watching it, I'm kind of like, Dana, I get that feeling. For me too, I get more of the sense of this is just a setting. Really what we're here for is the romance part of it. And so that's what I went in with. I mean, I knew that it was historical romance, but it's like I'm going for the romance, right? I'm going to see who's getting together with whom and how does that work and what are the complications and stuff. So I'm going for the story. So the fact that it's historical is just kind of a backdrop to the story for me. It doesn't even play into my mind. And so with the casting, the diverse casting, the music, with all of the other production kind of stuff with it, it does feel more now. It feels more current to me than.
And I'm the exact opposite because
that's
because
so
I've read so many like Stephanie Lawrence and the Wildflower series and like read stories of matches and all of that. So in my mind, I'm like, so this is what it really looked like. This is what it kind of felt like. No, but it gives a visual to all of the stories that I've read. So I think it really is your perspective because I have read dozens and dozens of those stories. For me, it's an embodiment of all the things that I had in my head, and my mom and I pick out from other stories and be like, oh yeah, because you remember when they were talking about this, that was like the scene in blah blah blah. So for us, we do view it from the historical standpoint, but it's because we have a frame of reference of all of the other stories we've read. And if you are just coming into Bridgerton in the now and haven't read any of the books or any type like it, then I can see how it feels more current to you. But if you're an old school Regency romance fan like me, it feels like Regency.
So let me ask this, and if this is going off topic, you can remove it. So I imagine, and tell me if I'm wrong, but your romance novels, are they all the polished, pretty kind? Meaning, so like if honestly, we were talking about like real like historical these romances, I would imagine these women probably were not that attractive. They had a lot of crappy thick makeup on. Like that's why I think to me it's more modern, because these people look like, realistically, the people that I see every day walking down, I mean, like they just look like they're wearing beautiful dresses, their makeup is on point. I could see one of them on TikTok doing a makeup tutorial or something. Like it just feels that fresh to me. I kind of like Yvonne, it's a backdrop. But
again, I think it's just perspective. I am looking for the historical because I love it, because I love the Regency period, because I do have this bank of all these other stories that I've read, and I can now understand the context of those stories in a different visual way. But again, that's because I've read dozens of them. But if you're just coming into it and this is your first introduction to that period, then you may see it differently. Honestly, that level of makeup is probably more than in the Regency, but the dress, the situations, the promenades, all of that is part of all the stories that I read, and understanding the marriage mart, and I was reading like historical romances, so not Jane Eyre, more of a she was pretty, he was roguish, they fell in love, he was the duke that no one should marry, blah blah blah. So it's those kinds of stories. It's very much like the Bridgerton stories. So it's from that perspective. It's not
right.
Pride and Prejudice.
Historical romance is a little prettier than historical
exactly.
fiction.
So no, not as far back
regular
as like
historical
Pride and
fiction.
Prejudice, but more like I said, Stephanie Lawrence, who's amazing at a story about a roguish duke and a beautiful woman with no money. Like, she could tell a story like nobody's business. You hear me? The best. And so, but I've read almost all of her collection. So I had this whole, like, I'd been putting these things together in my own mind. So it was fun to see someone else make it real.
Okay, cool.
A lot of people were coming into this just watching the show and then realizing that, hey, this is from a series of romance novels. They're getting introduced to, they may be getting introduced. Some I've seen some threads on Twitter where they say, I don't think I'm going to read any of these. I just want to watch the show. And then some of them are like, now I just want to read and see what's going on. So I think for people who are just getting introduced to this, I like the fact that this is this interpretation. I like what's being done here. And I know several romance novel series that do these stories well. But if you're looking from certain perspectives, you're not going to get that. This is Shonda Rhimes' interpretation of So that's kind of where I think things kind of get weird. So I just enjoy the show in its own bubble. I know it has a reference. It has that historical context, and there are people who actually just flock to this show just because they know that it was from a historic. They were like waiting for this show to happen. When they heard it was going to happen, they were waiting for this show because they had been fans of historical romance, fans of Regency romance, maybe even fans of Julia Quinn, and they were just waiting to see her words on screen, or waiting to see what Regency romance looks like on screen, because this is new to this. This is a whole new ball game here. This is not 90s rom-com that we all know. This is a whole new ball game. And so it has to be done well. And so the fact that people are looking at it and they're like, okay, we love it for it being a historical romance novel, or we love it for being a good show that's entertaining to watch, or we love it because it's romance. It's just interesting to see. It's interesting to see all these facets of it. And it's interesting to see that we all like it, but we all approach that historical romance perspective differently. We like it for different reasons, I guess.
But that's what I think is good about it too.
That's right? What makes it great.
Exactly. I agree. No,
but I agree too.
But also, I mean, I was kind of worried when it first was going to come out, because she did have that Shakespearean TV show that came out, I think, was it ABC or NBC?
It was on ABC, I think.
And I gotta say, was not that I couldn't get into it. Although I really wanted to, because it was that kind of, that it had that diverse cast and everything, but I just never got into it.
Still Star-Crossed is the name of that one. Mm-hmm.
And I never finished it. I mean, maybe y'all have, but I couldn't finish it. I just never got into it. And I was really worried that
it ended abruptly. No one finished.
And
it did.
And I was hoping that wasn't going to be the same thing here. And it wasn't. It was just the very first season when that came out. Was it in Christmas time? Was it Christmas time it came out? Around that kind of thing a couple of years ago? And I was like, this is just what I need right now.
Yes, it was Christmas time and it was pandemic time, and it was like the respite that everybody needed. I think everybody that loves it is the respite that we all needed it. So we had to come back for season 2. But yeah, you're right. I was a little bit skeptical too because of Still Star-Crossed. I think the difference between Still Star-Crossed and Bridgerton is it's on Netflix, so we get to see a lot of fun stuff that they can't show on primetime TV. And the second part of that is that even though I haven't read the novels, by the way, has anybody read any of these yet? I didn't ask.
No, I was in that group that, watching the show, but I don't intend to watch the to read the books.
Yeah. Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't intend to read these either.
Oh, okay. All right, but we just love the show. Okay. Even though we haven't read these books, just from, kind of knowing about them and what is all there is a lot of material there that she can work with. Still Star-Crossed had one book, and I don't think that lady intended to write another one. So I don't know how a TV series could have been made off of that. With Still Star-Crossed, because it was that Shakespearean what if Romeo and Juliet had lived or whatever, it has this real continuation kind of thing that it's like, it's kind of piggybacking on another story kind of thing, and another story that we've heard, but we haven't heard it like that. It has a fascination for a while, and then it's gonna fizzle, which is kind of, I think, why it did. I like that Shonda Rhimes was able to kind of still bring some of the energy with the young cast and with the diverse cast like she likes to do, and bring kind of all of her, what she does so well, to a story which, or a series which has a lot of books, and it has a lot of story there. So she has a lot more material to work with, I think. Moving on to the actual what happened during season 2, the first thing that came to my mind was when Staci talked about in season 1 about the Featheringtons being the more interesting family. And here we see the Featheringtons doing a lot of stuff since the man of the house, since he abruptly passed. We'll say it like that. So what do we think of the Featheringtons now? Do we still like them? What's going on with the Featheringtons now?
I mean, I'm not even sure I liked them the first time. I just thought they were the more interesting family. I mean, controversy makes you interesting. The Bridgertons are basically the perfect family, and that can be boring to watch. I mean, granted, there are some things going on in the Bridgerton household, but I think the Featheringtons, I mean, they have a real problem. They have real world problems in a way. They are tight for money, and they may lose it all, and they're just hanging on by their fingertips, and they make a way, and we see how they make a way without, messing up for anyone else, but we see how hard she's working for her family. She reminds me a little bit of a Vivian Lee, Scarlett O'Hara, Bridgerton version.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She just reminds me of Scarlett O'Hara, as in she will do anything to make sure her family survives and thrives. And granted, Scarlett was more a lot of times for herself, but I do think she will do anything to help her family survive and thrive.
So I think from that family, there are really just two characters that just stand out to me, and that's the mom and Penelope, right? And so mom this season, I think I grew to like her better because, to your point, I'm seeing her be stronger, and what she ends up doing towards the end of the movie and how she stands up really for her family. I also like that we got to see her in a more romanticized light. I don't know how to put it, but she's one of the older characters up there. And instead of the, people who look like they're 18 or 19, I know they're older than that in real life, but we actually get to see here's a mature woman, and she can be wanted and sexy and stuff too. So I was there for that. And the thing I'll say about Penelope is she is the character that makes me want to reach through the screen and grab her the most out of all of them and shake her. So she brings that. She aside from the romance part, she would, if she's not, she might even be first for me. But in terms of drawing some type of emotion out of me, it would be her, because she drives me up a wall. And so I feel like those two characters from that family are the two highlights for me, Penelope being either number 1 or 2 for emotional reaction from Dana in terms of when I'm watching the show and what I get from it. So I definitely do like that family and what they bring. So
I agree. I agree with Staci and Dana. I love to watch the mother try to navigate this space, especially now that she's navigating it on her own. And I do think it's interesting to see the other side of it, because I do agree that the Bridgerton mother is so saccharine sweet almost sometimes, that even though you see that she also knows how to play the game, it's way more fun to watch the Featherington mother play it. Like she is really a lot more fun. I also do like to watch Penelope, but I'm struggling a little bit with her character placement right now. There are things I love about her and things I want to shake her about. But I think in general, I think the whole family is more fun to watch, from the colors of their clothing to everything else. I do think it's fun to see them against the perfect image that is given of the Bridgertons. And I know that they also have their own set of drama, but it still seems so serene in the drama. I mean, mostly Anthony was mostly brooding. He didn't really got above a swarthy like what's the word, simmer. He never really, like in the first season, the Duke was like explosive, and Anthony was more of the firecracker that never went off, you know, like you were looking for the big moment, and I don't know if I felt like I ever got that big moment from him. So I did appreciate the Featheringtons and their drama and intrigue, because I feel like that's where a lot of the energy for the season came from.
Agreed.
I agree. Like I kept waiting for something to befall that family to give them a better story than just like the love interest part that was going. Like honestly, when he's in there signing all the paperwork he keeps signing all the time and not looking at it, I'm waiting to find out they didn't lost their money or something happened, just to give them a little bit more of a story. And of course that didn't happen. So yeah, I guess if I had to look at family wise, who is a bit more interesting, I definitely would agree with Staci, at least from her season 1, but I would say it's same for season 2 as well.
Yeah. Probably the worst thing that happened to like the Bridgertons was when Eloise was outed for hanging out with the printer guy and nobody came to their party. That was like the biggest thing that happened to him. And it was like, oh my gosh, and now we're blackballed, you know.
And even that was like, well, then we'll just, I mean, even that was, then we'll just have fun
dance
together.
it off.
Right, we'll just have our own
we'll
dance
just have
party.
a picnic.
Which,
And I was
I
like,
prefer myself, right? I prefer having my own dance party too, instead of trying to host a bunch of people who are looking down their nose at me, right?
and I mean, I'm the most positive person, you know, but even I was like, can I get a little something somewhere?
Well,
yeah, I
like
think it was
their
just,
father died. How about that?
and it's always gripping when they talk about it. But even then, like I said, I wanted to see Anthony.
He died a long time ago too.
I mean, he died,
yeah.
and it did affect them, but at the same time, like you said, it happened a long time ago. You can see how detrimental it was to him, and he left them in good standing. I mean, to me, that's different. The Featheringtons where, okay, he left and there's no insurance. We have nothing. We have to get out of it.
It was just enough to pay the debts, and
it was just enough to keep us from not losing it all right today. But now we have to boil our own milk, and we don't know how to boil it because we don't have no servants now. You know, they have nothing.
And again, even when Anthony was going through, he kept it all bottled up. He sort of boiled over, but more like a trickle. He never really even then, like there was just I wanted a moment where he broke, but and then it never came. He made the decisions we kind of all knew he would in the end, but even that was the most controlled. It was just he was so controlled, and I wanted something. And maybe I'm used to seeing Eloise and her level of energy, and maybe it's the difference between the men and the women, but I wanted something from him I did not get.
I think it came close to that B scene with the girl. What was her name? The one that he actually
Kate.
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 Yeah, that B scene sting, like there's a B on you. And we came close to like, oh my gosh, breakthrough. And then it's like, no, not
exactly. Like he got right up to the moment where he had the opportunity, and there was and then
no, we're gonna pull it back.
It was the firecracker that never did.
So this is what I was gonna say. So does this not kind of mirror to me how the whole romantic part of this relationship was too with Kate? First, I have to say, I think Kate is one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. I had never seen her before.
Yes.
So Tori has told me some other stuff she's been in.
I've seen her. She's in Sex Education. She's in a show, I think, called Sex Education. I've seen her in that show, but she's not a major role or character. The shots are not the same. So when they show the people, but also you can tell that Shonda, this is Shonda production, because black and brown people are shot so well.
Beautiful lighting, everything.
Beautiful lighting, because I've seen Sex Education and I've seen her in both of them. And like, God, the lighting makes a difference. I mean, she was always beautiful before, but her skin was like glowing in this one, and you could tell the difference. If ever watch Sex Education, like one episode, I mean, it's a good show regardless, but watch that compared to a Shonda film where she has a variety of, diverse cast, and see the lighting on that when it comes to that.
I have to check that out. But that was like the first thing that like hit me when we first saw her. I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? So I get that this season is supposed to be enemies to lovers kind of romance. I get that. But I think in the first season, we got to the romance pretty quickly, I would say. This season, they were building it up, and they didn't even really get to anything until episode 6, and there were only 8 episodes. And so I knew going in, because I heard about it, that it was going to be a lot more, wanting than actually doing anything. So I was kind of a little bit prepared, but there were times where I was like, get on with it. This is no longer the heat. It fizzled out for me before they actually got to anything. Like I was like, oh, just get it over with, y'all, because
it's been 6 episodes. I feel like
I knew it was only 8, so I was like, when it gonna happen?
Well, when Yvonne talked about how Star-Crossed versus Bridgerton is like, they couldn't do all the things in Star-Crossed like they had in Bridgerton. But I was like, that's comparing Bridgerton season 1. Season 2 could have been made for TV. I mean, it could have been regular TV because they didn't really do anything until 6.
And I think about your audience and why this was such a big deal on Netflix. I could be wrong, but I don't believe it was just a big deal because all the people who read the books ran to watch the show, right? Because none of us read the books and we watched the show. So I think if you look at your audience and some of the stuff that made them want to watch the show and continue to watch the show, obviously part of that was the whole relationship and the love scenes and stuff. And so to take that away and just push it towards the end, when that's what the people want, I just felt
like it didn't even have to be full on sex. It just could have been more. It had to be something. I know, but it had to be with something like lingering of something to be like, okay, anticipation. Neil's like, we know y'all feel something, but it's hard to tell because y'all never touch. I mean, it wasn't the same thing. Yeah.
So I saw a thing, I don't know if y'all saw this, where apparently that scene where they walk by each other, Kate and Anthony, and Barrett don't touch hands, but they come real close to it, is kind of a pulled from Scandal with the president and Olivia when they do that. But it's stuff like that, like at this point, 5 episodes in, I don't know when it really happened. I'm not feeling that burn anymore. Y'all can touch each other's hands. At this point, I need y'all to do something.
They can't do that in public. So that's what I want to ask Marcie.
They can. That's just it. I think not public. You're right. No, but I think what I learned from this episode is that they wanted to do whatever they wanted to do. I mean, hello, he
was sleeping with another woman, uptown. I know she's not in the same class, but whatever. If they wanted to do what they wanted to do, we saw in season 2, they could have done it. Again, I'm not talking about full out sex, but like getting so close and not being a kiss. Nobody is around y'all. Y'all in the middle of nowhere. Ain't nobody out here. Y'all can kiss each other. Like,
yeah, but at that point, it wasn't about their ability physically. It was her trying not to betray her sister.
Yeah, because
and not wanting to get wrapped up in him, knowing that this was supposed to be her sister's husband. So I don't think I don't think her reticence was about conventional society at all. I think it was she didn't want to hurt her sister. I think she really didn't. As much as her sister cut the fool and soap her down, she was trying to betray her. I really feel like she was trying to not disrespect her. I think she was
trying, but I don't think she was trying hard enough. Because I know, like, if that was my sister who was dating this guy, they were getting engaged, we wouldn't have no run-ins, our lips 2 inches from each other. That's not going to happen because I'm not going to put myself in that type of situation. I just felt like she was fighting some fight, but she wasn't fighting hard enough for me. And I thought that, I don't know, I thought that whole storyline, to be honest with you, kind of bothered me, because this is one of those, and I know y'all told me this before, if this kind of stuff happened, then the show would be over. But it's one of those things that, guys, there's a conversation that needs to take place before it gets to this point, and you didn't have it. And everybody in the world told you to have it. Why didn't you just have it? Like, I don't know why she could never tell her sister anything. She let it get this far. And then she's barely hanging on, being able to fight herself to stay away from him. Stop putting yourself in situations where y'all gonna be together.
But she didn't. Her sister was like, I need you to be friends with him, and I need you to make him, need you to. So that's a lot of, she was trying to stay apart. And her sister was the one saying, I want you to be his partner. I want you to do X, Y, and Z. I want you to make a good impression on him. Blah, blah, blah. So I think it was.
And her sister looked like a fool, right? Because we know that they're in love with each other. And her sister, I want y'all to be friends. Get on a boat and go hang out. I would never do that. If that was my sister, like, I would make every excuse in the book not to do that. And I would pretend that I liked that guy and thought he was great for my sister, if that's really what I wanted to do for her. And I just felt like she didn't try that hard. Like, I just felt like they were in situations where if it was really about her sister, I just didn't feel like she put herself in those situations.
But I also think that we have the experience of having experience, but she had none. Like, I think she had honestly lived enough of her life without ever being attracted to somebody that she had no idea what to do when it happened. And I think that she had no expectation that would happen to the guy that would ultimately end up being her sister's best chance. So I think in that moment, then you don't. And I think she really thought if she could just keep it a modicum together, she could get on that boat back to India and she would have whatever memories there were. But I honestly think that you had 2 women, her and her younger sister, who had no experience navigating physical relationships. And then her sister was actually probably more in tune when she kept saying, I don't see what I thought I would see when he looks at me. At least she had a clue. But I don't think that I think she had spent a lot of time displacing her emotions, and I don't think she knew what to do with them.
I mean, I understand that. I mean, I understand what Marcie's saying, but at the same time, I'm thinking, would I want my sister to be with somebody who's attracted to somebody else? And so, I mean, yeah, but I mean that too. But I'm just saying, I want my sister to be attracted to have somebody who loves her, or at least I believe can love her, or is attracted to her. It's obviously he's not, and I know this. So why would I try to still help them to be together? I was like, that other guy we were at the races with, and you were talking to. Why don't we take a look at him? Take a second chance and look at him. Somebody else. But if you already know the guy is not interested in your sister in the way that you would want her to have the kind of relationship you saw her father and your parents have.
Yeah, especially since that is what she was saying in the beginning was the reason why she didn't want her sister Edwina to be with Anthony, because she had overheard him say in the garden that he just wants to find a wife because he needed a companion versus I want to fall in love. That was supposedly the whole point of why she didn't want to them to get together in the first place was because of the exact same thing that Staci is saying, because he's not gonna love you, so we need to find you an actual love match. And so it was weird.
But I think when her sister told her that she loved him, that changed it for Kate, because up until that point she had tried to have her consider her options, but once she thought that she was in love with Anthony, the younger thought that she was in love, then what do but put your heart aside and try to get what your sister says she wants, because that's what you've been doing your whole life.
See, that's why I said there needs to be that conversation.
I agree, because I was like, even if she didn't say that he loved her or whatever, he could say he does not want you, he wants a companion. If you're fine with that, then that's it. But if you're looking for a love match, you're not gonna ever have it with him.
Because I want to protect her. She's my sister. And I know what she's getting ready to enter is a bad marriage, right?
Yes.
This man's in love with somebody else. I'm not going to push her on him.
Even though she may say, I love him. I love him. And it's like, if you're fine with loving a man who's never going to love you and just wants you to companion and Duchess.
But that's the status quo. And she was also facing a financial
but she never
burden.
Said that.
And all of these other things. So
we're looking at it. Other part
we're looking at it from a 2020 stance. But if you look at what their situation was in its entirety, then love may not have ever been the full option for her, unless she also chose poverty, which they were trying to get out of.
But she didn't say that you didn't have to marry, but it didn't have to be a duke, or was he, a count?
Viscount.
Yeah. But it didn't have to. There were other people who were of the peerage who were interested in her. So
but then once he declared himself, then it got a little bit more complicated, just like it did in season 1.
But you know he's in love with you.
They came into play. So some of it,
he's in love with
but some of it was also once the queen had made her
they
diamond, and once he had declared his interest, everybody else of lower rank then didn't have that option either, because he is the highest ranking person and he's made his bid, and therefore he actually does trump everybody else. So there was a lot in the play that they didn't have choices about once he had made his declaration. It was a lot of things in play, and she was trying to play
then they should have addressed
to
that
the best of their advantage.
But
she could.
If that's what they wanted to do, it should have been more addressed, because it did not make me feel like this Kate was trying to be the best sister she could be. I'm not going to have my sister marry some man who's in love with me. And I'm like breathing all over him, and he's breathing, and we're hot and sweaty for each other, but just can't touch. Like, I don't know where they thought this was going to go, and how, because I never got the impression that she wanted her sister just to be married. Like, I feel like
she wasn't the only one. She wasn't the only one making moves. And unfortunately, she wasn't the one that made the moves that she couldn't stop what was happening after he made his declaration. And that's the part we don't get, because in our world, we don't have the same caste system and all of that. But all of that was in play in ways that they didn't make overt, but were happening. And one of them was that when he declared his interest in her, it didn't really matter who else had previously had an interest in her. They no longer had the ability to pursue her.
And see, again, I'm going to say, as somebody who doesn't know that, I don't know why.
She still have made a decision.
Yeah,
because she did. Ultimately, it was just unfortunate how she got there.
But the reason why she did not make that decision earlier is because I think her sister did not say something to her earlier.
She didn't say anything.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a moment where she could have said something and prevented this, because she had all those suitors who were coming to see him. He hadn't made any kind of statement that he wanted her. She could have been said.
I'm going to say something that I rarely ever say on this. I'm actually with Dana on this.
I agree. I do agree that she had a couple opportunities, especially after Lady Danbury told her,
yes,
you need to say something. Is there anything you need to say to me or anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think that, especially the later in the game, once people were calling them both on it, when his mom was saying to him, hey, you sure you want to do this? His sister was saying, hey, I see how you're looking and it's not the right person. Like, I do think there were opportunities there where conversations could have been had, but I do think she started off with best intentions. I do believe that. I do think she got overwhelmed.
I do think it's the same thing. I
think she got overwhelmed, and I think she was out of her depth too. And I think that just made her stumble in places where she wasn't equipped to handle it. And she didn't take anybody's advice. I will say that she was the worst for not taking anybody's advice. She swore she knew it all.
And that's what I think was the problem is she tried to take, like you said, she was taking on way too much. And I felt like and maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like maybe she could have confided in Lady Danbury a little bit more what was going on.
Confided in anybody,
exactly.
really.
And help
especially
me
when she
steer
called
through
her
this. Yes, so I was just like, I hated that she didn't, because I thought she was. I was like, okay, so she's going to come out and tell you, but she didn't. I was actually shocked about how her sister found out about why she was having to get married and all this stuff when she did. I was like, oh no, we're going to talk to her before this goes down, before this dinner party, before all this craziness happens. Because they're coming. The grandparents are coming. I'm going to say anything before she gets here.
And here's the thing. She thought that surely they would, with British manners, they would never say those things in mixed company. And I think that is, she made a lot of assumptions based on what she thought she knew. And when people were trying to give her feedback and to help her navigate it and to take some of that off her, she didn't. And I think that's where she got stuck. I'm sure she thought they would never say this in mixed company with the Viscount sitting right across from the table. Because honestly, when he said it, was shocked. I think everybody was. No one would have expected that he would have actually said that out loud in mixed company. Although she still would have found out, I don't think it would have been as embarrassing as it was. But again, she was out of her depth and she didn't take anybody's advice. No one, not her mother's, nobody's advice. She stuck to her guns every time, and not mostly for good effect. I'll agree with y'all on that. Once she realized she was out of her depth, she never tried to course correct. She just kept pushing, thinking that was if I just keep pushing, it'll work out. And that is not how.
And I just felt like her character was too smart for that. I was like, I think this girl probably knows she needed help. But I don't know. Again, the period piece, maybe. I don't know how they felt back then. So I can't say that. But yeah.
I think they didn't really explain it until the very end, how much alike she and Anthony were.
And just hold it all and try to do it all themselves.
The burden of their family. They felt like they had the burden of their family's futures on their shoulders, and no one to talk to about how that burden felt. Even though their whole family was around them, his whole family was around him saying, you don't have to carry it all. We got our own stuff. His mom was like, I'm here to help you. But I think they both were very alike in that they felt this pressure and they wouldn't give it to anybody else. And I think they sensed that kindred spirit in one another, but I do think it was to both of their detriments because they were so off-putting to the people around them. Like it is a wonder they ever got together, because they were just really, they were tough to deal with. And I think it was because they were burdening all of that, and when people were offering them assistance, neither one of them wanted to take it because they felt like it would make them look weak. And I think that was the thing, if anything, they recognized in each other. And
I hate to put a little romance plug in here, but to me that's what makes a good enemies to lovers. I love when it's like they're both pig-headed, they're both stubborn, they're both strong about stuff, and they don't like each other. And I'm like, do you not see what you are? Do you not see that this is a mirror? This person is like a mirror looking back at you. You can connect on this level, but you don't. You're enemies. It's so juicy, and whatever.
Yeah, can't look at each other out without heavy bosom breathing.
Right. I agree with you, Dana. That was annoying. All of the gasping and all of the moony eyes and all of the after a while, it did get to be like, and when the sister says in the last episode, was I really that blind? And at that moment, you're like, God, yes, you were that blind, because we've been suffering through this for the last 7 episodes. You were that blind. It was a lot of that. And it was a lot of the room standing still for both of them. And then, it was a lot of that. And I don't even know that I wanted them to do anything except to stop doing that.
True.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot of moments where it was like, okay, I think we've overdone this. It's one thing to do it one time, like the whole bee sting thing. That was cool just for that one time. But after that, we kept having these moments, right? We kept having these things until, they just couldn't handle it anymore. And episodes what, 7 or 6, episode 6. I think that's our episode. And then, of course, in episode 6, after, after they get together or whatever, then it's like traumatic. I mean, then we have traumatic brain injury going on. We have all this other kind of mess going on because it's like, oh my gosh, the earth is like, coming apart because we slept together. It's like,
I finally get it, and now I'm dating.
Right. It's like, are we kidding with this? It's very, you know what, to me, it's very Romeo and Juliet in that way, in that, these people are together or whatever, and the one time they actually get together, they can't even be together but for their wedding night, and then they die. Oh, why do we have to do this? Why is it so traumatic? But, that kind of brings me that and, a little bit of what Marcie is saying. Yes, I do agree with Dana on that they should have talked, right? And I think we all kind of agree to that. But I think Marcie brought up one point that I think was a little more prevalent in this season. Maybe not so much to Dana as Staci, is the holes that women have in this particular period, or even just the peerage. Like when somebody says something, they have to go through with it, or when that train starts, they can't get off that train. And it's especially true for women. As much as we love Kate for being that strong-willed person that she is totally clueless. Part of that has to do with the fact that they don't tell women a lot of stuff, and women don't experience a lot of stuff like we do in this century. It just doesn't happen. So they think they know something. So even with Kate, she thinks she knows something, but one moment that really kind of gets to me, one of my favorite moments, which I'll probably say again later, is when Kate is talking to Lady Danbury. And she's like, I want to be like you. I see that, I can definitely be like you. I'm going to be a governess and I don't need anybody. And then Lady Danbury tells her, no, honey, you are not like me. I've lived.
Exactly.
I had a husband. I had, I've done stuff. You haven't done anything yet to actually say that you can be like me, kind of run your own thing. It kind of gives you gives you a little bit of limiting view. And then when wheels start turning after Anthony, the Viscount, says, I want to marry you, and stuff kind of happens. And then the whole Eloise thing, she was caught in this. I mean, nobody was even looking out for Eloise until we find out that she's in a bad side of town with the guy. She's unchaperoned. So those kind of things pile up to say that there's a lot of women's rights being, you kind of see what the little rights that women had back in the day.
And I think they're talked about and we get hints of them.
Yeah,
but
right.
I feel like the women that I really focus in on are the ones who would break all those rules anyway. And so I think that's probably why
those are the ones that are fun.
But that's, I guess, why I didn't think Kate would feel like she had to do anything. Between Eloise going out unchaperoned, Penelope does whatever she wants. They trick the other mom, not the Bridgerton mom, the other mom. I can't remember her name.
The shawarma mom? Lady
the Featherington mom?
Oh, the Featherington mom. Yes, okay. The Featherington mom, whose name I can't remember. But how she tricked and got her daughter out of having to marry somebody. Like, I feel like they've got tricks up there. These aren't just the average woman who's like, oh, he wants to marry you, you have to get married. These women will figure out a way.
Most of these women have some sort of advantage. Miss Featherington is a widow of status. She doesn't have the same restrictions as Kate or her sister. Eloise actually got shamed, and the only thing that saved her was being a Bridgerton. So I think when you think about it, Kate is destitute. Their family has no more money. So Kate doesn't have the room to say, I'm not going to do this.
No,
because
Kate was a strong character. She don't tell me you thought at any point Kate was somebody who's going to do what a man told her to. That is not the impression I got from her at all. And I am not saying that maybe that's not the case. What I'm saying is the way the show has been presented to me, the little fact that, oh, he looks at you, y'all got to get married. seems to be very minor. Like, I don't watch this show thinking about how oppressed women were, because it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal because they can get around it.
Like, but they're not. But there are rules for some of them. I think you're looking at the ones who have the ability to play outside of those.
I'm looking at the main
of their
characters,
station.
whoever
But
they are.
Kate is not in that same bracket. She is from a disgraced family. Her mother is actually disgraced by her family. Their only grace is Lady Danbury. It is not on their own.
But Lady Danbury didn't buy them all
they're
their
literally
clothes,
under her protection
like,
and
they're
being
not
paid
like,
for by her.
But they're not like,
I mean, but I do
destitute.
think they are in a place of privilege because they do have a name, even though all three sets are privileged because they are coming from maybe not the exactly same class, but they are in about the same class. Now we're talking about upper class women, all of them, versus a lower class woman. And I just think that, yes, in Kate's situation, they're more hemmed up because of money. And I do think Kate is hemmed up because of the fact that she could do a lot, but she's not going to abandon her sister and her mother. Because I think Kate could be like, oh, I can be a governess and be fine. What about her mother? What about her sister? And so the constraints of their society has limited her because she's got to get her sister married so that her sister can have money and therefore her mom can have money so it can take care of them. And yes, she's going to live her life in India. That's what she wants to do. And with Lady Featherington, they are gripping by they're just holding on, barely holding on. But at the same time, they got enough privilege to even scam somebody because people don't believe that they would bring somebody like that into their circle. So even though all these women are breaking the rules, they can, up to the point, they can break the rules as far as they can because of the fact they are all within that higher echelon of society.
And even with Lady Featherington, they still had to have a man of the house, which is why they got that scoundrel in there.
They got a scoundrel in there because
she couldn't even run her own house.
Yeah,
but because she didn't have any money.
But she was gonna ever have any money because even if she had any left, it would have gone to him.
Right, exactly. When he came in, she had to move out of her own room.
The main bedroom, because that's where her and her husband lived, and now he was not there, and it's not her house anymore.
I think y'all are missing what I'm saying. I'm not saying that there aren't things that are there, but there are definitely more backdrop pieces to this. Like the same way I told y'all I don't see this necessarily as a period piece is the same way I don't see the true oppression that women experience. It's not that evident. There are little things here and there. She had to move out the room, whatever, but that woman is running her show. Don't think otherwise. Whatever. By the end of the show,
I don't think it's like as real as it could be.
I don't even know whether it's as real as it could be. I'm just saying, I know it's there, but it is not like a main central point to me. It's not a feeling I get while watching this show because they don't seem to follow through on that and stuff. So it's like, oh, you have to get out and do this, or you've been disgraced, but we let you back in. So it's like 1 minute we hate all y'all, don't look at them, don't talk to me. An episode later, y'all all back in everybody's good grace. For that reason, I don't even really notice it that much. I just I hear it, and I know like Eloise is not supposed to be out seeing some random man, but she's doing it, and things are fine. So it doesn't really bring it home to me.
And I get what you're saying, and I'm with you on that. The only time where I see it, where it actually, I actually saw it enough to make a little note of it, is Kate not being able to stop stuff and about the conflict stuff that is happening. And part of that conflict stuff is the financial stuff. So it kind of makes me, in those last few episodes, it kind of makes me understand that whole chaos of Kate. It makes me kind of feel a little bit bad for her at that point, because at that point, she doesn't have as much control over the situation. And part of that has to do with the fact that there are these norms in place. A woman can't just say, listen, I don't want to marry you, or listen, I don't want to do this or that, or I'm going to let you marry her, because they had to devise this whole plan and all this other kind of stuff. It made me more understanding of where Kate was in the end. Now, it did not make me more understanding of where she was in the beginning, because like y'all have said, she had more than enough opportunity. And to me, even if she had the conversation, I still think it still would have been an interesting twist of story, because I could see where it could be, the story wouldn't stop in like 5 minutes. It would just be a different twist. I could see it. Yeah, to me, it would be. And then I wouldn't be so frustrated with you in the beginning, Kate. But I was with y'all in the beginning of that, when she was like, why don't you tell your sister, whatever. To me also, why that also got to me is because you seem like you were so close with your sister. I would have thought that you would have told her about what was going on, just because you were so close, to show the closeness of that relationship. As it got on, it wasn't like a sisterly relationship to me. It was more like a motherly kind of
mother.
Especially since their mother was kind of in the background.
She wasn't mothering at all. She wasn't mothering. But
and then she had that speech in the last episode.
Tell you everything.
Yeah, and then she had that episode when she was like, "I'm sorry, I'll let you take on the burden of the family," because she was mourning Papa or Abba or whatever they called him.
So let me say about needing to have a conversation. Let's talk about Penelope and Eloise.
Girl.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Penelope, Eloise.
Even if I didn't want to tell Staci until the last minute, at the moment she was at risk, I would have gone to her and said, friend, is me. And I can only think of one way to get you out of this. And here's what it is. And we would have talked about what I would say, so that it would be bad, but not so bad that she would hate me.
To tear my reputation up for all the world.
Blindside her when it came out. She did absolutely nothing. And yeah, she had that half-cracked attempt to tell her when Eloise was like, you're my best friend and I've been ignoring you, blase, blase. But by then it was a little too late, because she had already ruined her character. I mean, her and the seamstress were not the best duo to figure out what to say. She could have gone to Eloise. They could have worked that out together.
Because I think, like, if you had talked to Staci, I felt like this is something me and my friend, I mean, they are like sisters. This is something we could have handled together and figured out a way together. Like, I would never have written those things about my best friend and just let it get published and ruin her reputation, which we've already talked about at this point. And when this takes place is a big deal. You know, this isn't just like, you know, some little thing. This is a really big deal. It can impact her future and her livelihood, right? I would never do that. And so the fact, at that point, I felt they made Penelope seem just as selfish as all get out. Like, she was more interested in protecting herself than helping her friend, knowing that if y'all are really friends, this is something, I know they could have talked about this and figured something out. And I hate to see them not having a relationship, because I like them together.
I don't know, because I think the moment when Eloise started panning I think there was some truth in both of their statements during the argument. Eloise did a lot more complaining and whining than she did actually trying to find alternatives for the situation she found herself in. Until the very end. And I do think that Penelope was right about that. But I also do think that Eloise was right that she should have told her sooner, and that she didn't have to do things the way she did. So I think there was truth on both sides, but I agree with you, Dana. She didn't have to ruin her reputation like that. She didn't have to, and all the things. She didn't have to say all the things. She didn't have to say, she didn't have to make it the entire article. I mean, I really felt like she just went all the way. Like she said, I'm a just take it all the way there. And I think that's what made it even worse was.
I know it could have been a blurb, just enough to get the queen off the trail, not the whole article. Burn the witch. I mean, she just went all out.
There were so many words. I agree with you, Staci. It could have been a short blurb to just kind of cast a little bit of a little bit of shade, but she went all the way with, I mean, details, and I was like, oh, Penelope. I mean.
So let me ask y'all this, and this is an aside, and it deals more with season 3. So as we've talked about, and I think we've heard since we haven't read the books, but season 3 is supposed to be Penelope's story, right? I hope it's funny because I was looking at the actors' ages because they look so young, but they're not. I think
Penelope's one of the oldest ones up there.
Yeah, she's in her 30s. So I just looked at that because I'm like, how are they going to handle her and her love scenes? Because this is going to be, I mean, like it or not, everybody knows Penelope is the plus size person in this group of ladies, and I want to know how they're going to handle her story, because I expect nothing less than what they've already given. And I think Shonda will ensure that that's how it goes. But I mean, have y'all thought about that at all? Like how?
No, I mean, I haven't even thought about the love scenes. I'm just thinking about who she's.
How they gonna make you like her?
How not, but like the relationship with that guy. I mean, right now, I'm not liking that they may have a relationship. I just don't like them together.
I don't like Colin. Yeah,
Colin at all.
I don't.
I mean, unless they can do something to change that.
They're gonna get stranded on a desert island and realize how much they love each other.
I don't care how much stranded on a desert island. I mean, he never sees her as being
right. I don't know how it's gonna happen.
Being. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how they're gonna change that, and I'm gonna like the results of it. Because right now, I'm not feeling that relationship at all.
Maybe he opens up with us and shows us his emotional side and how he's been hurt and how he has made that. I don't know.
I don't care. Right now, you better call something better than what you just said. Because right now, I'm not feeling it.
Stick to your day job, Dana.
Oh boy.
I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, I think he went out of his way to kind of be extra mean this season, and it's clear he only views her friend and she's not considered. So I don't know.
And it was weird because I didn't get that at first, and then in one conversation, I was like, so that's how he feels? It was very confusing because he was deferring to her in a way that made me think he felt something. I was confused too. I was like, maybe I don't know what the signals are. Maybe it's like,
but I have to agree with you on this one, Marcie, too, is that I thought for a minute, okay, I can see she's the only one who wrote to me. But then he immediately goes over to the
Marina's house.
And I'm like, so which is it?
And even she tells him, you got somebody in your corner, and then he started treating Penelope differently. I thought, well, maybe he hurt her. And I was like, okay, good. But then he said what he said, and I was like, well darn. I
don't know.
Yeah. Once she told him, hey, you got somebody at home, guess what? I didn't want Penelope for him anymore. Like, I'm not gonna be your second choice.
I'm not gonna be, oh gosh, there's that thing I left in the corner. Hey,
exactly.
Not there's that thing I left in the corner.
Left in the corner, because I mean, this like she's been on the shelf, and I've always loved that old tinted up cup, and I just didn't realize it yet. And no one wants to be the old tinted up cup. I mean,
okay, I'll give you that.
And I hope sturdy.
I hope
stainless sturdy. I want to be,
nobody wants to be Old Faithful, the one that's just there, the one that's always there. When you open the closet, they're in there, and then you just close the door back and leave them in the closet till later. Yeah, nobody wants to be that one. I do hope that she gets her own love that appreciates her for who she is, because I do think that she has a lot of good qualities. She needs to stop comparing herself to everybody else, because I think that is what makes her feel, especially to Eloise, who I'm gonna be honest, I don't always like. She's whiny, and I don't always love her.
She's just funny to me. That's why I like her. I just like her character. She makes me laugh.
When she's being witty, but most of the time she's being whiny. I think you're right.
She was very whiny this season.
Yeah, she was whiny.
Yeah, in season one, she was not as whiny as she is in this
She was witty,
season.
and it was funny to hear her observations on life, and I thought, I thought, oh, that's fresh. But this whole season, she didn't do anything but whine and complain, and I was like, well, darn. I mean,
I felt like she was turning more into one of the regular characters, like turning more into one of the regular women. She was, falling in love. Now she kind of like this, whatever. So I kind of saw her. But maybe I was just thinking, maybe Penelope meets a guy and falls in love with him, and she's no longer really around for Colin, and Colin realizes he's jealous and that he's loved her all his life.
See, that's what I'm. That's the kind of relationship I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping for. It's times like these when I briefly, and I say briefly, because I have a stack of books, and no, I'm not going to just pick up this book to read it. But it's times like these when I kind of want to know what that story entails a little bit. I kind of wish I had, read the book to kind of see. But like with the Colin character, I think I've heard that Marina Thompson is not in any of these books. That's a character that Shonda made up, or that the writers in the room made up. So she's not in the books. I don't know if Penelope is Lady Whistledown. I think Penelope is Lady Whistledown in the books, but we don't know that. Nobody knows that she's Lady Whistledown until book 4. Okay. So I think that's after her book, which is, I think, book 3. But so the story that's happening on screen is not exactly the story. Who gets together and stuff, I think that's true to the books, but the actual way the story plays out, which is what we're brainstorming here right now. The way the story plays out doesn't exactly play out exactly like it is in the book. So
okay, because that'd be kind of weird that if you find out if Colin and her do get together, and like, you know who tore up my sister's reputation?
Right, exactly, right, yeah.
Goodness. One thing I do want to point, there's 2 things I want to say. So one thing I will say that I was disappointed in was that we did not get a cameo from the Duke. I was tired of seeing Daphne with the baby. Like, I just didn't think that was realistic.
But
I can't believe
she knew that was gonna happen going in, right?
No, I thought
it
was all over the internet.
So it was, I remember it coming out like early before this drop, but since this actually dropped and I watched it, I hadn't heard anything, so I didn't remember anything. So I wasn't sure whether he was going to be there or not. Like, I knew he wasn't going to be like playing a huge role, but dang, if they couldn't have just had him show up, say hello to the family. I don't know. I thought that was weird. I just thought, he wouldn't come back. All the times Daphne came back, and because keep in mind, what's his face was his friend. So he didn't come back for his friend's wedding. So I was just like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Okay. Even down to the wedding, I was like, maybe he'll show up. Maybe he'll show up for Anthony's wedding because they were homeboys, but he didn't. So I just thought I was a little disappointed. I would have liked to see a little Duke there, but.
Well, I mean, they had pretty much said he wasn't coming back for season 2, so I guess So
did they say why he couldn't do a cameo? I don't remember. I do remember them talking about him not coming back, but I just don't remember.
Shonda just said he wasn't coming back for season 2, but he was filming a movie at the time this was made. That movie with Gosling and somebody else. I can't remember the other guy offhand. I don't think that was the reason why he wasn't coming back. I think that decision was made early on because Shonda said it early on.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
I don't know why it would have hurt just to have him show up for the wedding. Like, I don't know.
And I don't know if that was in 2. I don't know if that had anything to do with the books either. This is another thing. It's like, well, was he in the book? Because even in books that are a series but standalone, the characters every now and then like
swing on through.
Back. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But
so that was just
now the other thing I wanted to talk about. So let me take this over, but I've been itching to talk about this, and I know you said at the beginning that we weren't going to really go into this, so I'm going to make it really brief. But I have to read this because this is something I thought about. So you talked about how in the first bit they addressed race being an issue and then just sugarcoated it over. We kind of talked about that in the last one. This time I felt like she did a better job in that I felt like we didn't discuss race whatsoever. It was just everybody's happy. This is how I was. It was almost as this is just how the world was, I don't want to say how it was meant to be since women didn't seem to have enough rights, but color was not an issue for me in this show, other than my own personal thoughts. But like, I didn't feel like the show was wrapped up in race at all. Okay. So whereas the first season, they talked about it and then ignored it. This time, I think it was completely ignored and it had nothing to do particular with the series. So y'all may disagree, but this is what the showrunner said. And I was like, I don't know that I agree. He said, I don't consider Bridgerton to be a colorblind show. It's not a colorblind world. Race and color are very much a part of the world and a part of the show's conversation, just like things like status and class and gender and sexuality are. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. And I was like, I don't think so, because I think class and sex, and we've talked about this already, did definitely play a part in the show. I think we would all say we saw that. I didn't see race. Y'all tell me what you thought. I didn't see
I think it was very prominent that they were Indian, that Kate was full Indian, not and that the daughters were, and that her younger sister was half Indian. And I do think that was, I don't think they beat us over the head with it, but it was definitely it was definitely an obvious part of the story.
Yeah,
I do
so,
think race was important, and I think the distinction about where they came from and of Kate's upbringing especially, I do think were very prominent in the story.
So I think the fact that they were Indian and all that stuff, yeah, that we know that in the story. But I guess what I'm saying is it didn't have any, and maybe I missed the implications to the characters per se.
Well, I think the thing is, they said it all in the first one, and that didn't stop the show. I just think that people didn't say as much is because, that didn't stop the first season, and now we got a second season. So I don't think there was much saying about it. And I think people listened up to a point when they just said that one time to acknowledge the fact that that's why the society is like this and not like, how it is and how it was originally. But I think they realized we didn't need that on every season. We're just watching the show. And I
agree with it. I think that's exactly how it should have been. Unless we're going to go down a rabbit hole with addressing it, then we don't need to address it. And so I thought that was great. But then when the showrunner saying he thinks race played just as an important part in this as class and sex, I was like,
I think if you say race plays as much a part, but I think, maybe not race, but culture, because we did see certain cultural aspects from Kate and her family from India. So they did bring those in. So I think in that case, but I don't think it's race as in you're thinking racism, that kind of thing. I don't think that was being shown like that in either seasons for that matter.
I agree with that, yeah.
And there's a difference that race and racism just because they mention somebody, but actual.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I was going to say, that I think that they do show race and that race does play a part, but racial discrimination and racism does not play a part in this season, I think.
And so I guess because he said color too. So I really took it to be, I can see race as in, hey, because we talked about this before, like some of the rituals and some things that they did. So, hey, this wasn't a bunch of, just one race of people all doing the exact same thing. So I guess at that point I could see race being part of this. But then color, I don't know. I just read this because there's a lot of people that is actually a hot topic about this season, because a lot of people don't like that it was just kind of, they feel like it was just, there's a lot of stuff about him being colorblind. I think that's why he was speaking to that, but just colorblind in season 2, as if everybody got along or whatever. But I felt like that was on purpose, and that's how I would want it to be. This is fantasy. This is fairy tale. We've already established this is historical nonfiction. So I liked it. And so I thought that was the difference between the first one and the second one. So I when we're talking about doing this podcast, I was like, I really thought it was refreshing. We weren't hung up on that. And then to see that he thought it was very prevalent, I was like, I really didn't see that. But I guess I could see race being more than I thought it was showing up. Color, maybe not so much. I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
For me, it was race as probably as we should, as it would be in, if we didn't have racism in society, we could just talk about, yes, I'm from India, and yes, we do these things, or, whatever. So they are still very much in British society, in the peerage, blah, blah, blah. So there's that part of culture, but then they acknowledge that these women are from India and that there are other cultures that kind of play into this whole thing. But we don't have to focus so much on the fact that they're the exact same, they don't have the exact same cultural or speak the exact same cultural language as the Bridgertons, who are obviously different racially. They just bring their own part to this culture, which is what we should be striving towards. But everybody wants to point out, I'm an individual and I come from this and I'm that. And, and so then there's also the history of the racism and everything else that comes with pointing out the differences between people. To me, it was kind of like, we acknowledge that there are different races here on this show, but we're not going to get into the whole, this is why we're different and all of this kind of stuff and try to explain it away like they did with the first season. So I'm kind of with you on that, because what it does is it does give you kind of like a color blindness to a certain extent, because you're not sitting there focusing on their differences. You're just like, okay, this is part of the cultural richness that is Bridgerton. versus these people are different and now they've got to explain why they're different and all this other kind of stuff. So it does give you that pleasant color blindness to a certain extent, if I can coin that term.
Like, I got the idea when they were doing the pre-wedding ritual with
right.
the three like if somebody had walked in there and saw them, they would have been like, oh my God, like I don't even think it would have been anything. It would have been like,
right,
can I borrow your hairbrush? And then they would have left the room. Like, you know,
right.
whatever.
Right, exactly. Like, it's like, this is just something we do. Right.
Yeah.
To me, that's where the kind of color blindness that I think we're both seeing comes into play, and why him saying that would kind of be odd. Him, right? The show director, showrunner, whatever.
Chris, what's his name? Chris Van Dunstan.
Why him saying that would be odd, because the thing is, they did a good job blending this in, where we don't have to focus on the fact that these people are racially different. Whereas, you know, with the Duke and with Lady Danbury, that one little conversation just took them out of this world, right? It took them out of the whole society. And this guy was supposed to be a Duke. He's like higher peerage level than most of them on there, than everybody on there except for the Queen. In that instance, I mean, this guy's a Duke. I mean, he should have, even in his not fitting in, he should have fit in the best. But by them actually saying that one little conversation, it just puts a spotlight on the fact that they're racially different. Whereas I did not get that here. And so it made it give that kind of colorblind feel to it. And so I could basically just enjoy the show, have the feelings that I have about the people versus have the feelings and then take into account their race.
Right.
Even this season, I even thought about Marina, and I was like, I think I noticed her more racially in the first season than I even did in this season.
Oh, I agree with that. Because this season, she just felt like somebody who's like, look, I don't love you. I got my situation here. I'm happy. Why are you here? Like,
it's like, I just want to know, you know, you can, as a character, or versus, okay, this woman is a certain complexion and blah, blah. And it's like, okay, why are we doing this? And it's because of those differences. So I'm glad they kind of ironed that out. I'm glad they didn't have one of those awkward conversation kind of things. I'm glad that the culture was brought in a way, just like you're saying about the wedding ritual and the henna and everything. All of that was just done beautifully.
I agree.
It was just done just beautifully. So yes, we can talk about that, and yes, I will keep that in. But I do want to say, because we have been talking for a while. And,
sorry.
No, it was good conversation. Now, I'm probably not going to edit a lot of this, so you know, have fun, y'all. There was a lot of animated conversation here, which makes it hard to edit. But I do want to ask everybody, what was their most memorable moment of the season, if you had one? And it could be memorable for a good reason, it could be memorable for a bad reason, but what was it and why? Let's start with Staci, so we can make sure she's there.
I'm still here, thank you. And I was like, I'm not sure I really remember. I guess when Lady Featherington turned the tables on the scoundrel, I was like, you go, girl. I mean, I really did.
Yes.
Like that, like, gosh, I get just even more respect for the lady after she did that, because she played it in such a way that she got her daughter out of that arrangement. She got the money. Their name was her and her daughter's names were free and clear, and got him out the house. All it, boom! Just, I was like, you did that.
Yeah, I love that. Marcie, how about you? What was your most memorable moment?
The Eloise discovery of Penelope, and only because to me it was some of the best writing when she says, I finally see you in a way that I haven't seen you before, and then she breaks it all down, and then they have their argument and they tell these truths about each other. So to me, I think that was probably one of the best setups for where the story can go from here. And I also think it was just one of the it had that passion and that oomph, but it was really well acted and really well played, and I enjoyed watching it.
Dana, how about you?
So I was hoping I wouldn't be called on, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know.
You know you're still here, right? You know I'm going to do it. I'm going to call on you.
Okay, I want to say a couple things. If I had to say most memorable, but it's because I didn't think it fit in the show, it was them consummating their marriage. Like, I was like, y'all, we are over. The show is almost, I mean, y'all got like 8 minutes left to the end of season 2. We don't need this. Just get ended. So I would say that probably stands out just most memorable to me, because by then it's unnecessary. It's too late. But then I also, again, the Featherington mom, it's just something about her getting, as an older woman, getting that opportunity to be seen. Because I just had, in the show before, I'd never seen her in that light. So getting an opportunity to see her as a woman, I just thought, I thought it was really nice, and I liked it. Like, that's why I'm really anxious to see how they do Penelope, because honestly, up until now, everybody has just been the stereotypical, to some degree, right? People that we always see doing this. We could turn to any of the channels, after 10 o'clock and see love interests looking like these people. But now I'm interested in seeing what, to me is probably closer to what I see myself as. So that probably just stood out to me, because I was like, okay, now, this is nice. I like this. We don't get this enough. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I didn't want it to go anywhere with her and the scoundrel, but now that we've opened up and we see that side of her still exists, I'm interested to see, what becomes of that. For all I know, she finds a new husband later on in another book, because I don't know. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But I will also say that the thing that I really loved, and you brought it up, and I wouldn't have thought of it if they hadn't said anything, was a conversation with Kate and Lady Danbury that you talked about earlier.
Yes.
I thought that was beautiful what she said, but what I guess I also thought is, it's now that I'm old, because you see people now, I don't need any of that. I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life. I don't need you. Honey, you don't know what you need. You're 15. You haven't lived any. Right. It's one thing for me to say that, I've lived my life. I've done the things that I want to do, but you, dear, have not. You don't know. And I again, being an older person now, hearing, those types of words from, mature women, and seeing how this has played a part, because they could have been like, she could have just been, I didn't know Lady Danbury's backstory. So they could have made her just, the cat lady, but no, she's like, no, dear, I've lived my life. I've done the things that I wanted to do. So I could see her having a fabulous past, just like the fabulous woman I think she is. So there you go. That was a good 10 minutes for my one answer.
Well, while we are talking to you, though, I should have probably said a Goodreads rating. 1, we didn't really like it, and 5 stars, we thought it was awesome. What would you rate this season?
I don't know what I rated last season, because I would want to say this would probably get a half a notch down from last season, but since I don't know, I think I rated 4 last time, so maybe I do 3.5 this time.
Okay. Marcie, how about you? What did you rate it?
I think I gave season 1 5 stars, and I would have to say that I would give this one like 4.25, 4.5.
Okay. Staci, what about you?
I can't remember what I did last season, because I would say the same thing. I would give this like a notch down for whatever I had last season. So was last season a 4 or 5? I mean, if it was, it
might have been a 4.
If it was 4 for last season, this was like 3.5, that kind of thing. I mean, I would still watch the series, but I do admit that I wasn't as into it as I was season 1.
For me, most memorable moment was, like Dana said, the conversation between Kate and Lady Danbury. That was most memorable for me. That was what stuck with me, and for a lot of the same reasons. And I don't remember what I rated it last season either, but I'm kind of in agreement here that it'd be like a half a notch down from what I rated it last season, only because the angst was a little bit too angsty, and because
that is perfectly stated. The angst was a little bit too angsty.
Yeah, the angst was a little bit too angsty.
I'll be selling t-shirts.
Right. And you can find those t-shirts on ymnelson.com. I'm just kidding. But it's still enjoyable. It held my attention. I am still invested for the same reasons I think Dana is. I'm very invested in seeing how Penelope is portrayed when she gets her HEA. I want to see all of that played out, obviously, because I'm always down for the plus size women finding love. But I'm also with Dana in that I feel like, again, we have not read the books because of what we're seeing in this show. I feel like Colin does not deserve her, and we need to see her with a prince. And we need to see Colin wallowing in some kind of regret / maybe even I want to see angsty from Colin. Let's say
that's
that.
what I was going to say. Angsty from Colin. Exactly
angsty from Colin. Yes.
I want him to want her so bad. He
yes.
Sleep at night.
Exactly. That is exactly it. So if for some reason somebody that's connected with this show is hearing this is what we want to see. Thank y'all so much for talking about Bridgerton with me. I'm so happy to have you talking. It's such an animated conversation about this show. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yay.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
And next up, we are going to go nerdy and discuss The Batman for our next episode. And that is from our DC TV and movie reviews miniseries. So make sure you're subscribed to get that episode when it drops. Please subscribe to Nerdy Romantics Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you're hearing, please rate and review. The links are in my show notes at ymnelson.com, along with a lot of other links for books and other items that we talked about on our show. And if you really like what you're hearing, click the Buy Me a Coffee button while you're there to support us. Thank you for listening.